Yuda, this is your wake up call presented by Twin Island Media on 94.1 FM. We're also streaming on Facebook Live and also on the TuneIn app. We are now turning our attention once again to Haiti. Earlier on, we spoke with Pastor Gerard Lafleur, who was in Haiti a few days ago, and he gave us a first hand perspective on events happening there. Now we're speaking with Antigua and Barbuda's permanent representative to the Organization of American States, Sir Ronald Sanders. Ambassador Sanders is also Antigua and Barbuda's ambassador to the United States. Ambassador Sanders, good morning. Welcome to your wake-up call.
Good morning. Good to be here.
All right. Thank you so much. Now, in your recent commentary on affairs in Haiti, you opened by saying, and I quote, Haiti's non-elected president, Dr. Ariel Henry, has been identified as a significant part of the current crisis in Haiti. Henry and a small clique who surrounded him are hardly running the affairs of state, unquote. In your view, what ought to be the current government's role in resolving the crisis in that country?
Well, Ariel Henry has an opportunity, though at this point it's a compromised opportunity, to set up a truly national transitional government that could take Haiti through a process that will lead to some stability, first on the security front, but also in establishing a proper electoral system that would lead to a credible general election, but that would allow the people of Haiti, for the first time in very many years, to elect a government of their choice. That is not happening. What instead is happening is Dr. Henry has set about a process in which he has, well, first of all, I should tell you that the entire governmental system, as we would know it in Antigua and Barbuda, and which existed in Haiti, has been completely dismantled. There is no legislature whatsoever, no elected house, no Senate. There is no judicial system. Judges have been retired and not replaced, except for those that are handpicked by Ariel Henry himself. So there's no legislature, no oversight of a government that has not been elected by anyone. All of them are people that Henry appointed himself. He's ruling the country by decree, and in fact not doing a very good job of that, because the people in charge of the country, in effect, is not this thing that is called a government, but it is over 66 armed gangs who have divided up Haiti into, if you like, constituencies. I call it that for want of a better word, but you'll understand the description.
Right.
They've divided it up into constituencies, and they are managing it. Or they allow what passes through the areas that they control, whether it is food, medicine, transportation. They determine who crosses from one place to another. They're in charge of the show. Ariel Henry is not able to deliver for the people of Haiti the normal things that any populace has a right to expect from a government. They have no police protection because the police is virtually neutered. It cannot match the arms that are possessed by the gangs. They can't enforce law and order. The health services are broken down completely. Children can't get to school, but worse yet, women and children are the victims of violence and rape. And I mean that literally on almost a daily basis. I mentioned in the commentary that one hospital alone, just outside of Port-au-Prince, treats 10 gunshot wounds a day on average, and that's only one hospital. The place is a complete mess, but part of the problem is that the Haitian people have no confidence in a government they've not elected, and that government, therefore, does not have the people's support to be able to institute the measures that are necessary for dealing with all of this. So we have to make a distinction when we talk about Haiti between solidarity with the people of Haiti, to whom we owe an historic obligation, and the government of Haiti, which is not elected. It is there's a bifurcation here of what Haiti is. People talk about the Haitian government, but in truth, it is not a government. It is an appointed cabal.
No, Prime Minister Gaston Brown has said openly that in order to be an honest broker of a solution in Haiti, Dr. Ariel Henry should declare that he's not going to be running in an upcoming election. The question is, do you think that all of CARICOM will be willing to take that particular stance, and do you think it would make a difference?
Well, I think all of CARICOM has already told this to Dr. Henry. At the last CARICOM Heads of Governments conference, a number of heads of government told him precisely what the Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda said. And that is that he should make a public announcement that he is not going to be running in the next election. Now, why did they tell him that? He is right now setting up an electoral system. He has packed it with people of his own choice. No opposition party has had a participation in the selection or appointment of these people. Nobody in civil society, entirely his government's doing. Now, should there not be a reasonable suspicion that if you are setting up the electoral system entirely by yourself, that you are setting up an electoral system that suits yourself? So that makes that entire electoral process suspect from the very beginning. So they've said to him, say that you are not going to be running. Make sure you tell that to the people of Haiti. And then maybe you have a chance to be an honest broker. But frankly, even then, I do not believe he would still be an honest broker. But so they've told him that. So it's not a question of just what Prime Minister Brown said. Others have said the same thing. And if you look at the CARICOM Heads of Government statement on Haiti that came out of the 4th of July CARICOM 50th anniversary meeting, you will see that they said quite clearly that Dr. Henry gave the undertaking that he would not run in the next election. Curiously, however, he's not made that statement within Haiti.
Do you think part of that reason is because he is considered to be a suspect in the assassination of his predecessor, Jovenel Moïse?
Well, I don't know that is part of his thinking. I wouldn't dare to go into the mind of Dr. Henry to decide how he makes his decisions.
I meant, do you think that part of the reason why his leadership is discredited generally is because he is a suspect?
Well, yes, I think there is a great body of opinion. Look, I'm in touch regularly with Haitian groups, not of my own choice. You will recall, or maybe you will not recall, but in 2016, I led the Organization of American States group that went to Haiti when Michel Martelly was in power and his electoral term had come to an end. But there was no successor because he had not held an election before his term ended. The cabal around him at the time was trying to convince him that he had an obligation to remain as president, even though his 2 terms had been completed. The opposition, and at that time there was an elected opposition, there was a parliament still in place, were demanding that he should go. More than that, there were people rioting in the streets. I witnessed it myself. There were people threatening to tear down the gates leading to the presidential office and to drag him out of it. The team that I led eventually persuaded him to withdraw. It was an 11th hour withdrawal, but he did withdraw. And then we set up a transitional government made up of all the parties in Haiti at the time. And that group of people, led by the man who was the president of the Senate, who took over as the acting president, Jocelyn Prévert, led the country for 2 years very peacefully. There were no riots, no bloodshed, no anything, and set up the system for elections. Unfortunately, Haiti, which, as you know, is tragedy prone, just months before that election was due to be held, had another massive hurricane that wrecked the country, decimated it. The result of that the electoral turnout at the poll was very, very low. It was less than 50%. And of that 50%, Jovenel Moïse, who won the election, won it with a very small majority. He was not a very popular president from the beginning, and elected under curious circumstances. But that being apart, the point is, what Haiti requires now is really a genuine coalition, an alliance of all of the parties to nominate people. They don't have to change their opposition to each other, but they should at least agree that they can continue their opposition in a situation where opposition is possible and government is possible by establishing a transitional government of people, Haitian persons, who will take the country past this security problem, because we've got to deal with the security problem first, and then establish the means for the election. No election can be held in Haiti right now, because how do you get polling stations set up in areas where gangs are in control, unless the gangs determine who's where those polling stations are going to be and who is running? How do you campaign? How do you go around and talk to people and solicit votes in circumstances like that? It simply can't happen. And while I'm saying this, let me just point out that in the impossibility of the situation, and I call it an impossibility, where 66 gangs control Haiti, and there are two particularly large ones that are the, as I say, I would put it this way, they're the leaders of all of the gangs. At some point, somebody has to talk to them, because these are extremely well-armed people with weapons such as we have not seen in Antigua, not even amongst our Army and Coast Guard. And to deal with them is urban warfare. It is street by street, trying to get to them. And now they are protected not only by their own gangs, whom they're fully armed, but also by people that they have managed to support over the last couple of years, and who've become dependent upon them as a result of that. So at some point, I think a conversation with them is going to be necessary about how you get them to disarm, how you get them to stand down, and what guarantees they have that they are not going to be pursued and locked up. Now, that may sound to be a hell of a thing to say, that you're talking to criminals, but it wouldn't be the first time. In Colombia, for instance, when the FARC were doing precisely the same kind of thing, a conversation eventually had to be held with FARC. And I cite again one other case, Northern Ireland, where Sinn Féin was terrorizing not only Ireland, but it was terrorizing the United Kingdom too. People in London, the capital of England, were unable to walk the streets without a bomb going off somewhere. People lived in fear. Eventually, a conversation with Sinn Féin was necessary. And they are now part of the government of Northern Ireland. And Ireland has been peaceful for a very, very long time. So all of these are options that cannot be dismissed in the Haitian situation. It is so dire.
Right.
We have never seen anything like this. It needs creative and imaginative approaches.
Right. Now, the question of security intervention has been debated. Henri's government has asked for it specifically. The United Nations seems to support the idea, but there has been some hesitation from many governments, including here in the Caribbean and in the United States. In your view, can Haiti's crisis be resolved without international security intervention, despite its troubled history?
No, it can't, because Haiti simply does not have the capacity to do it. The policemen and the nascent army that they have are not trained, not properly equipped. They can't match the armory on the other side. They can't do it alone. And some kind of international support is necessary. Now, there's a complication about what it is that's exactly being asked for. People say that a request has been made for an international force to go into Haiti. But if you listen to Henri, that's not what he says he wants. What Henri says he wants is armaments, munitions, technical support for his national police. He wants his own police to be armed and given sophisticated weaponry to match the gangs, and he wants to have some help with things like drones and that kind of thing that would try to seek out where they are, sophisticated telecommunication capacity to be able to deal with them. So that's what he wants. Now, there's suspicion about that because remember, Haiti comes out of a background where presidents had things called a tonton mocoute. This was introduced by Papa Doc Duvalier, retained by his son, Baby Doc Duvalier. Successive presidents of that place, even Aristide, had their own private armies. Now, and that's what helped to keep them in power. Now, the question is, does Henri want his police to be beefed up so that it is a genuine national police that will not discriminate against his opponents? Or does he want something that is going to repress the country in such a way that he remains in power at the point of a gun, guns which would have been provided by the international community? So there's concern about that. The United Nations, just a few days ago, on the 14th of this month, adopted a resolution on Haiti in which they accepted that there was a need for international intervention in Haiti, intervention which can now happen because Henri has asked for it. Their problem is this. Is Henri asking for it sufficient? They're saying that the request should come from a broad-based group of people, the same kind of thing that I've been saying to you earlier. It has to be a wider coalition of forces in Haiti who say we want international intervention of a certain kind. And it has to be defined. Because what the Haitians will tell you is that every time there's been an international intervention in their country, they've been worse off at the end of it than they were before it happened. And I would point this out to you that the Haitians have begun now to take matters into their own hands. Vigilante groups have been set up, recognizing that the police cannot protect people. Vigilante groups have now started to attack gangs themselves. In fact, some awful things have happened. Some of these gang leaders have been pulled out of their, on the street, out of their vehicles. They've actually been hung and burnt in the street. So, you know, there's a kind of lawlessness now, born of desperation and hopelessness, that needs attention. And I know the international community is aware of that. But it is what kind of force that goes in. And remember that this is going to be urban warfare, because these guys are in charge of towns and cities and throughout Haiti. They're very well armed. You've got to have people who are accustomed to that. Now, I can't think of one army in one police force in the Caribbean that would match this. And I know that the Prime Minister of Jamaica, Prime Minister Wilness, has said that he would send, I think, 13 or 1,400 people into any combined force that goes into Haiti. And all that's very well. But, you know, part of the difficulty, too, is that you are talking about people who do not speak English. And indeed, they speak a kind of French patois, which will require intelligence forces, people who are dealing with this kind of thing, to be able to communicate with the people, to give it instructions, but more than that, to understand what the other side is saying at the same time. It's a complex process. This is why the suggestion has been made that maybe we ought to look at Africa for the supply of some of these troops, from French Africa, because French Africans at least would be able to understand what's happening there. So that's the dimension of French Africa in all of this. From the standpoint of the Caribbean, I cannot imagine that any government could conscript members of the police force and the army in their countries to go into Haiti. They would have to do that on a voluntary basis. They would have to say to members of the police force and the army in each of their countries, would you volunteer to go into Haiti? Not a question of I am sending you. because this would be a real fight. It's not going to be something that's going to be given up easily, unless, of course, what I suggested earlier happens first, and that is a conversation begins with the gang leaders before we get to the point where we are going to send troops in.
Right.
Because sending troops in means war.
Right. Let's just look to wrap our discussion. We have about a minute to go, but I must ask you, if Ariel Henry refuses to step aside and refuses to facilitate reasonable efforts to resolve this crisis, what do you think the implications are going to be?
Well, I cannot imagine for a moment that faced with the reality of what Haiti is and the prospect of what it could become, even worse than it is, that Dr. Henry would continue to stay in office and block this process. Now, I know that even the United States government, which anointed him to begin with because they thought they had no other choice, recognized that he's become part of the problem. So efforts have to be made to get Dr. Henry to understand that he's no longer a part of the solution, but very much a part of the problem. And he, as a patriot of Haiti, has to start to think about what his patriotic duty ought to be. This is no longer about his political ambition. This is no longer about his ego. This is no longer about political hubris. This is about the survival of the Haitian people.
All right. I want to thank you so very much for joining us. This Haitian question will continue to bedevil regional leaders and the international community, but we all hope that a solution is found sooner rather than later for the sake of especially the people of that beleaguered country. Ambassador Sanders, I want to thank you so much for joining us. Ladies and gentlemen, we have been speaking with Sir Ronald Sanders. He is Antigua and Barbuda's ambassador to the United States and also the permanent representative to the Organization of American States. Thank you so much. Really appreciate your time this morning, as always.
Very much. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, it is now a minute to 9 o'clock here in Antigua and Barbuda. This has been your wake-up call, presented by Twin Island Media. Yes, it's been an interesting morning. As always, thank you so much for being a part of our program. Have a wonderful and a productive and a safe week. And remember to support the efforts of the Rotary Club. If you don't have your tickets, you can get in touch